Hello Magic players, Computerized MTG here, and as you can see from the cards laid out on the table, this is going to be a little bit of a different video. I guess you can call it a deck, that's what's going to be called in the title of the video. I don't know if that's accurate, I don't know if you guys agree with it, but that's what I'm going to call it. Now this video has a couple of reasons to be made. One is I'm trying out a few things since I've moved, so improve lighting, things like that, how I want to have my setup and all that for bettering the future videos coming out, especially the ones where I'm going to be recording it with the camera here. Not too worried about the ones on the computer. Those are a little bit easier to make. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. But anyways, and also to show you guys what I've been running at Friday Night Magic. So what I'm going to do is right now not talk too much about the deck. I'm going to do a little bit before, which is this, and I'll show you guys the sideboard in just a second. Then I'll make a couple of changes, and I'll show you the after. They're not going to be massive changes, but I think they'll definitely improve the deck. So anyways, what I've been running so far is 4 swamps, 3 islands, 1 plains, 2 evolving wilds, 4 choked estuaries, 2 concealed courtyards, 2 prairie streams, 4 shambling vents, and 4 sunken hollows. So that's the land base. The land base is really not gonna change unless I notice some attrition with curving out, but otherwise I think that's 26 lands, and as far as the number of lands, that's fine. As far as the type of lands, as far as the colors they produce, I think that's fine. I've been contemplating changing that to Aether Hub, because obviously right here we have a Dynavolt Tower, but I don't know, don't like the idea too much. So anyways, let's get to the meat and potatoes of the deck. Right here we have 4 Torrential Gearhulks. Surprise, surprise, card is fucking amazing for control. So as any Torrential Gearhulk based deck, we obviously are going to be running quite a decent amount of instant speed spells. So we have a small counter suite right here with 2 disallows, 1 negate. And then we have our removal, which is 3 immolating glare, 2 anguish the making, and 4 grasps of darkness. You may notice that there is no fatal push. There's a good reason for that, which I'll explain when I show the after changes version of the deck. Then obviously we have some draw, 4 Glimmer of Genius, which is absurdly good with the Torrential Gearhulk, especially if you're already at an advantage that just puts you over the edge. The amount of advantage you get with these two is kind of absurd. We have 4 Anticipates. A lot of people like to run 2 or 3 of these, or some people almost want to run none. I like Anticipate. It helps you smooth out your draws, look for that piece that you need. So I think Anticipate is a fine card. And then we have a couple other removals that are not instant speed. We have 2 Ruinous Paths to get rid of walkers. And we have 2 Fumigates. Fumigates has been surprisingly good, even against the more aggressive decks, like Red-White Vehicles or Mardu Vehicles or what have you. They're super aggressive. They can get off an extremely explosive start, but if you can take care of the first couple of creatures in the first couple turns, Fumigates just bring you right back into the game. Then we have a small Planeswalker suite. We have Obnixilis over here. Then we have Gideon, ally of Zendikar, and we have Sorin, Grim Nemesis. And to help out with draws and whatnot, we also have a Oath of Jace. Oath of Jace is kinda neat in the deck because obviously it interacts late game with your Planeswalkers and it helps you filter out your top draws so you don't top deck into lands or what have you, although I don't know about this guy though. And of course it helps you put pieces that you may need into the graveyard so you can get them back with Gearhulk and set up a couple of plays. And then as a backup win condition, we also have Dynavolt. No, the card is not named Dynavolt. It is Dynavolt Tower. Obviously, we run a lot of instants and sorceries. We're going to be getting quite a few number of energy tokens, counters. Glimmer helps with that. And that is also why earlier I said Aether Hub would help. Just a couple of energy counters, and because we will be building energy, we can always use those to mana fix. But you'll see in the changes what's going to happen. So anyways, this is the main deck. Let's cut to the sideboard. Alright, here we are with the sideboard. Let's start naming them off. Ignored the lands up there since I'm just not going to make any changes to that. I'm going to leave those lands up there for the entirety of the video. Anyways, let's get to the... I keep hitting the fucking camera stand. Anyways, the deck. The sideboard. That'd be a very small deck. Anyways, the sideboard. I have two Kalitas, whatever, I call them Kalitas, I don't care. Two Kalitas, Trader of Get. We have three Flame Tendrils, and this card has been absolutely amazing. We have an additional Obnixilis. This one is interchangeable. Sometimes I try to bring it in against mid-range decks, depending on what they're running. This guy is great against additional mid-range decks, or even not aggro decks, control decks. This obviously is meant for this little pesky weenie decks. I have two negates to bring in again against control decks or combo decks. Three Transgress the Mind, which are primarily for control and mid-range setups. Obviously situational too, depending on if they have a threat that I need to get rid of before it's cast or what have you. So, you know, the few Marvel Aetherworks decks that are still being played too, this helps. Liliana is great against a few matchups. What a lot of people miss with her, I've had a couple of people ask me, why do you have Liliana? That's weird. You don't run a lot of creatures, you know, you can't really recur stuff back too well. Well, that's, doesn't matter if I'm not running too many creatures. What matters is the creatures I am running, and that is Torrential Gearhulk. So her -2, yes, it is a -2, I just had to double check. Her -2 is pretty good. Ideally we just kind of want to plus her, get her ult off, win the game. If you get Liliana's ult and you don't win the game, you've done something wrong, because her ult is pretty much an auto-win condition. And, but yeah, anyways, her -2 is kind of good in this deck, because you can get back your Gearhulk, and while you're getting back your Gearhulk, you can throw more stuff into the graveyard, and it kind of helps you set up more plays if you need to. But yeah, getting back your Gearhulk, casting him again at flash, being able to change the rate at which combat goes, because now your opponent knows you have a Gearhulk in hand. Maybe they don't care, but they probably do. I mean, it's a big guy, it's a 4/6, that allows you to get stuff back. So her -2 is pretty useful. So I bring her in normally against mid-range and control decks. Against control decks, she just kind of runs away with the game. If you put her on, if you're on the play, she's amazing. Normally I don't bring her in if I'm not on the play, because she's really easy to get rid of. I've tried her against aggro a few times, but because excuse me, aggro nowadays is running things like Heart of Kieran and whatnot. If I'm not on the play and if I don't have a perfect hand, it kind of doesn't work too well. So I try to avoid using her, obviously, against more explosive decks. Although she does help. If you're able to stick her and protect her, she, again, Liliana runs away with the game. And then we have Sphinx of the Final Word. This is great against decks that have jam-packed or removal, although they'll probably be removing most of that removal. But regardless, this is a threat that lands and sticks, and your opponent has to deal with non-conventional ways, so board wipes or to the slaughter, things like that, edict effects. Yeah. And then we have an additional disallow, just to bring in, if we have to, again, this is not just, a lot of people forget, this is not just a counter, this also stops abilities. So again, if they resolve, say, an Aetherworks Marvel, and they spend their 6 energy, try to get that activation off, you can just disallow it, and it just wastes a lot of their resources. So anyways, this is the sideboard for the current Esper Control deck that I am running, and I'm going to do a little bit of a few, that's the word, not a little, a few. I'm going to be doing a few modifications to the deck, maybe the sideboard, and I'll be back with those changes and I'll explain why I made those changes. Alright, so here we are with the changes made to the main board. You'll notice it's pretty much almost the same. Counters didn't get touched. One immolating glare got removed. Where else? I no longer have an Oath of Jace, and I cut out the 2 Ruinous Path so I can make spot for those Fatal Pushes. Now, the reason why I never really had Fatal Push in that first draft of the deck is because somehow I forgot to order them when I first was putting the deck together. Yeah, not sure how that one happened. In my mind, I thought I had them, but I don't know what. I don't know. Anyways, and then I just kept forgetting to order them. I just kept telling myself, am I gonna even run this deck? Am I even gonna run this deck? I'm even going to FNM tonight. You know what? I'll go. And I always ended up going with a less than optimal version of the deck because Fatal Push is fucking amazing. Not much to say about it other than it's fucking great. So I still am not certain about a Dynavolt Tower. I want to cut that out. I'm not sure if it's the right move or the wrong move. So for tonight's FNM, I will be running with this list. Just a couple of tweaks to the main. That gives me more instant speed removal that I can recur with the Torrential Gearhulk. I never really felt like Ruinous Path did much. I mean, I have this that can get rid of Planeswalkers. Dynavolt Tower can get rid of Planeswalker. Sorin can get rid of Planeswalkers. Gideon can get rid of Planeswalkers. What else can get rid of Planeswalker? Counters can get rid of Planeswalker. Gearhulk can get rid of Planeswalker. So I have ways of dealing with walkers, right? Not an immediate way like Ruinous Path, but it's still something. And obviously, Anguish Making with Torrential Gearhulk does offer that immediate. Twice for that matter, you know, once get rid of a walker, cast another one, I cast Torrential Gearhulk, get that out, and if they cast a third, now I have a 4/6 body that's ready to take care of it. So walkers are not exactly a major issue anyways. Not too many people play them, and the ones that they play are normally mid to late game anyways. I mean, there's obviously the elephant in the room, Saheeli, but I feel like I can handle that deck. I'm not too worried. So anyways, this is the main. I want to, as I mentioned, I don't think Dynavolt Tower is too great in here. I want to try cutting this out for another Gideon and a Jace. And I almost want to try, there's a few ways that this deck can run. I'm going to try it out like this, and I'll show you guys the very minor tweak that happened to the sideboard in just a minute here. But this is what I want to roll with right now. And yeah, there's a few ways you can build this deck. I was almost tempted of being extremely greedy and see if I can make it work with 4 colors, just so I can include burn and other things. But that's fetches are no longer here. This is no longer Kanza Tarkir standard. 4 colors not gonna work too well unless you're playing something that is able to fix really well. So like 4 color Marvel works, 4 color Saheeli, and all those decks that have attuned to Aether that helps them a ton and get a ton of energy and run 4 copies of Aether Hub. Those decks can do it. We don't have any Aether Hubs. We don't have attune with the Aether. We can't fix as well as those decks, so we can't run 4 colors. So one way this deck can go is cutting out white. So cut out Gideon's, cut out Sorin, cut out Immolating Glare, cut out Fumigate, and add in Burn and other tools that Red has. Obviously, Red has, whatchamacallit, they have that Gremlin card that destroys artifacts and put out 2/2s. So, yeah, or I can make this Esper more creature-oriented, start making it more aggro, or I can cut out black completely, and this would still be similar to the Flash option, just make it blue-white Flash. There's a lot of good cards in blue and white, but this is what I'm going to run with, and so yeah, real quick, Torrential Gearhulk, amazing card, makes combat difficult for your opponent, recurs almost half of the things you can cast in your deck. Counter spells primarily for things that we can't kill, planeswalkers, Marvel Aetherworks, any of those. We have a lot of cheap removal because, let's be honest, creatures are dominating the format right now like they've had for a few years now. Then we have our draw suite to set up our draws, smooth out our land draws and all that. We have board wipe in the main. We got planeswalkers as alternate win conditions or to help us kind of stabilize. Then we have Dynavolt Tower as kind of a backup plan. I've never really won in this deck with this card, although it does help act as removal while you're looking for the hard removal. So anyways, I'm gonna set up my sideboard, show you the minor tweak, talk a little bit of ideas of cards that I want to put in there, and yeah, let's get to the sideboard. Alright, here we are with the sideboard. Does it look different? Does it look really hard? Think about it. A little fuzzy over here. Anyways, yeah, the sideboard didn't change, but my lands are not up there anymore. Ooh, spooky. Anyways, alright, so the sideboard didn't change. I feel like the sideboard is fine as is. There are different tools that can be put into the sideboard. Obviously, in this, you could play things like, let's see, what's the name? Stasis Snare is a thing, although I think it's suboptimal in an Esper shell, at least with this removal. Aether Meltdown is a thing. I think that's the card I'm thinking about anyways. The blue card with Flash Enchant. You can enchant. You can enchant a vehicle or a creature and it gives a -4/-0. That one's actually relatively good. Fragmentize is another pretty good sideboard card. So we have options. Now, I want to go back to talking about which cards. Let's see, I put that right there. I want to talk about the options that I listed earlier. So the different options that this deck can be built into, or the different paths that this deck can take, is either cutting white, turning into Grixis. That's number one. Then we have number two, which is making an Esper aggro deck. So it's more of a blue-white flash splashing black. I think primarily, really, other than removal like fatal pushes and so on, all for scrap heap scrounger. There you go. I think that, I don't know, fucking magic in their name. I can't speak anyways apparently today, so, or in any of my videos. And the other option is just cutting black out completely and going blue-white flash. And then there's another option, which is also turning this into a Super Friends type of list. So main boarding Lily, adding more Gideons, adding Jace, and then adding a couple of the Oaths. Oath of Gideon helps you protect your Planeswalker early game, and as well as mid to late with the extra counter. And Oath of Liliana is actually really good as well. But I think in this current standard, if I wanted to go Super Friends, I would have to either try I know there's been a Marvel Aetherworks Super Friends list going on, and that one actually looks pretty fun. But otherwise, I think the best option for Super Friends would be for Grixis. Simply because they get burned. They have an easier time curving out and burning the threats, and their planeswalkers, especially with Chandra, it helps them fix mana and do whatever else they need to do. But yeah, I feel like Grixis is a better option for Super Friends at the moment. So I'll see how this deck goes. Obviously the sideboard, I didn't change it because I felt my sideboard worked really well against the whatever's being played in my Friday Night Magic. Whenever I sideboarded cards in and actually got to play them, they worked. The only cards that I'm not so sure about is maybe Transgress the Mind. Well, it is good and it does let me bring in something. I almost want to replace these with Gideon and just go against control decks or against blue-red decks. Just go all out Gideon on them. That way they have to use their burn on them and I can build up other planeswalkers or what have you. So I'm thinking about replacing this with Gideons. I'm also not too sold on Sphinx of the Final Word. It's a good card. It does what it's supposed to do, in case you're not familiar with it. I'm going to bring it right up close. So as you can see, it's perfect against decks, against control decks, against decks with a lot of removal. The damn thing is a 5/5 fire, it has hexproof, stuff you cast can't be countered, he can't be countered. So this pretty much shuts down control short of board wipes like Fumigate or To the Slaughter. So yeah, that was my main after the changes. It was very minimal, and this is the sideboard after the changes, took no impact. But those are my the ways that I see this deck could change. I'll see how it works tonight. I'll let you guys know in the FNM vlog that I'll do on my way back from Friday Night Magic. I'll let you guys know if the deck worked smoother with more instant removal with the Fatal Push in the deck, and I'll let you guys know if I feel like I need to make any changes. I do want to try to include Fragmentize. I might actually, depending on how I feel, I might last minute cut out Transgress for Fragmentize. I really don't want to cut this out. I might cut out Fumigate mainboard or put it in the sideboard and put this in the main, because this has been much more helpful than Fumigate. The only thing is Fumigate hits a more broader amount of targets. But anyways, I feel like this video is going on a little bit longer than a deck tech video really should be going for. I think primarily it's because I had that before deck. I should have just done the new one with changes, explain the changes. But anyways, again, one of the reasons for this video is to try different things, filming, lighting, video setup, and all that stuff, including how I run the video. So comment down below if you like this deck, if you're running an Esper deck list, what kind of control deck you're running if you're not running Esper. Do you have suggestions for the sideboard, suggestions for the main board? Let me know, and as always, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.